Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well. We've developed a workshop, a session here that will begin to think about and to practice using mindfulness and some self-compassion during these really challenging and uncertain times. So the workshop altogether will be around 45 minutes, maybe a little less. But of course, feel free to use it as you wish. You can stop and start or go back and do it in parts or all the way through, however you wish. So within the workshop, there are some practices and some exercises, but you don't need anything for these. Just yourself, a quiet space and a comfy seat. And if you have any questions once you've completed the session about any of the content or anything else, please feel free to contact us. So let's start. And, with everything that's going on at the moment, maybe just taking a moment now to ask ourselves the question, how are we feeling? These are challenging times for everyone. We're faced with a lot of changes, a lot of uncertainty. Perhaps we're isolated. So naturally we may be feeling stressed or anxious, maybe feeling low or lonely, maybe panicked. And we may feel a whole array of different emotions that may change day to day, moment to moment. We may find ourselves, worrying about the future, thinking things like, when will this end? When will I be able to see my family again? When will things return to normal? Or at times, or some people, we may find that we're trying to keep ourselves busy with a new hobby. We may have been able to find some moments of calm or enjoyment. And it's perfectly okay to feel any of these things. There's no normal way to cope. There's no normal or right way to feel. So what this workshop will hopefully offer is maybe some tools in mindfulness and self-compassion that we can use with how we cope and approach this ever-changing situation. Hopefully we can be more present. We can maybe find a greater sense of calm and balance if we need it. So whatever your reason for being here today, thank you for joining. So mindfulness. Many of you may already be aware of mindfulness, you may have some practice with it, or you might be completely new. But whatever your experience, let's take a moment now to break down and think about what mindfulness actually is in its essence. So mindfulness is simply the act of intentionally bringing your awareness to whatever is happening in the present moment. And our present moment, this consists of our thoughts, our feelings, things that we can feel, our bodily sensations, our environment, what can we see, hear and smell, what's in the world around you. What can we experience right now in this present moment? So maybe let's take a moment and become aware of our present moment. Maybe noticing what we can see, what we can hear, what can we feel in our body. Maybe noticing what the mind's like. Maybe noticing what the breath is like. Connecting to our present moment experience. And when we do this, when we bring our mindful attention to the present moment, we do it without judgment. So we try not to label our experience as good or bad or criticize it. We try to simply observe it, for what it is, for what is there to be known. And by doing this, we can allow ourselves to come out of this mode of automatic pilot that we're often in. An automatic pilot, this is when we often find our attention is in our thoughts, in our minds, thinking about the tasks that we have to do, our to-do list, thinking about the future, thinking about what's going to happen, or maybe thinking about what's already happened. So our awareness is not necessarily on our present moment. And quite often we can end up living in our heads. It's almost like we have one foot in the future and one foot in the past. And when we're on autopilot, we're not consciously aware of what we're experiencing, not consciously aware of the task or the activity that we're doing, not aware of our present moment. For example, if, sometimes we may take a car journey, we may drive from A to B, and when we arrive at a destination, we do not remember at all the journey. We're not really sure of kind of what happened during that journey, because that's often when our awareness is in our heads. We're not connected or present to what's happening in each moment. So by coming out of this mode of automatic pilot, we can allow ourselves to notice what is actually happening in our present moment. We can see things that we might have been missing. When we find ourselves entangled in thoughts and worries and concerns, this might begin to consume our day. We may miss all the pockets of joy that are there in our day to be known. So if we can see the picture here, if we can see the guy on the left whose awareness is filled with preoccupations about money, maybe, or things to do, other people, his awareness is filled with so much noise. Whereas if we see the little dog on the right hand side, his awareness is very much in the present moment, in what he can see, in the trees, and the weather, and the sun. And this is a difference between being in a mode of being present, and being in a mode of automatic pilot. So maybe let's take a moment and think about what is your awareness often filled with? What do you pay attention to? What things in your day do you consume? So maybe a lot of news or media at the moment. How do you start your day? Do you take a moment to notice the day, your breath, or the weather, or how you're feeling? Or do you maybe find yourself becoming entangled in thoughts from the moment that you wake up? Mindfulness is similar to taking your foot off the gas pedal when your car gets out of control. When we become absorbed into thinking or preoccupations, we might find ourselves kind of getting carried away with anxiety and worry. And mindfulness aims to bring our awareness to the present moment, dropping down from overthinking, taking the time to connect to our present moment, to notice what's around us. And now more than ever, with a greater sense of uncertainty that's all around, naturally, as we mentioned, we may begin to start thinking about the future even more. We may begin to worry about what the future holds. So it can be helpful to ground ourselves in the present moment, taking one day at a time. When worrying or preoccupation with thoughts in the future gets a little out of control sometimes, we can break this cycle of worry and ground ourselves in our present moment. We can maybe try to find a greater sense of calm and balance by slowing down and pausing and reflecting and breaking this cycle of worry. Whilst thinking about things that worry us can make us feel like we have some sort of control over what's going on. In reality, the only thing really that we have control over is our present moment and what we do in it, how we respond to it, and how we respond to ourselves. So now, thinking about that, I invite you to do a short practice with me. So if you'd like to join, taking a moment now to make sure that we're comfortable. Whether you're sitting on a chair or the sofa or lying down on your bed, wherever you are, feel free to shift and move to a position where you can be comfortable and let go of any tension that you're holding in your body. Let your shoulders soften, your jaw soften, and let your eyes close. Or lower the gaze. Allowing the body to become still now. And turning your awareness inwards. Begin to feel the weight of the body resting into the ground. Feel the contact areas of the body with the floor or the chair or the bed. And just noticing, does the body feel heavy or does it feel light? And become aware of the breath now in the body. Noticing what the breath is like today, in this moment. Feeling the lungs expand, taking in fresh air as the body inhales. As the body exhales, a sense of letting go of whatever is going on in the mind of the body. Allow the mind to do its own thing. It might be very busy with everything that's going on. Just allowing it to think or do its own thing. Giving it some space. And staying with this rising and falling sensation of the breath. It may help to place one hand on your belly or the chest and feel the body expanding as you breathe in and then falling back down as you breathe out. Maybe feeling the contact of the hand with the body. Noticing any warmth that might be there. And let thoughts come and go. The moment you notice you've been distracted by or pulled into these thoughts, just note to yourself, that's a thought. And gently bring your awareness back to the body and the breath. Using this feeling of rising and falling of the breath as an anchor, bringing your awareness into this present moment right now. Becoming aware of each new breath of fresh air that enters your body, and each new out breath that releases and lets go of any old stale air. Remembering there is no right or wrong way to do this. No right or wrong way to breathe. All we are doing is simply being here in the breath and body in this moment. In the next moment. Being present with each new full breath. And the movement of this breath through the body. And as we sit here, your mind might be pulled to some other physical sensations that arise in the body. And just like the thoughts, seeing if we can let these physical sensations come and go. Giving them some space. Noticing where they are. Noticing if we become caught up in judgments or resistance to these sensations, or pulled into some stories that we might create about them. And if this happens, that's okay. As soon as we become aware of this, just using your anchor and coming back to focusing on the breath and the rising and falling sensations. It doesn't matter how many times our mind is pulled away. It's perfectly normal, and for most of us this will happen many times. What's important is how we respond. Trying not to judge or criticize ourselves each time it happens. Just gently and kindly, when we're ready, bringing our awareness back to the breath. And rising and falling sensations. Continuing to breathe, aware of each full breath, rising and falling. And resting in this sense of stillness, resting in this present moment, in the next moment, in the next breath. And then whenever you're ready, maybe begin to move the fingers and the toes, coming back into the room, the surroundings, maybe noticing the sounds around you. And when you're ready, gently and slowly opening the eyes, coming back into the room. It's taking a moment now. Lovely. So when we bring mindful awareness to the present, when we go about things mindfully, when we sit in our present moment as we just have, to do so mindfully is to do so in a particular way, with certain attitudes. And these attitudes are all ways that we can begin to learn to respond to ourselves and our environment when we bring awareness to it. And we can see the different attitudes here on the screen. And I'll just go through them briefly so we understand what they're about. So acceptance. This is about accepting things as they are, not as you think they should be. And sometimes we can find ourselves getting concerned with getting rid of unwanted pain or unwanted situations, and maybe wanting to get rid of any fear or anxiety that we don't like having, for example. Acceptance means acknowledging and allowing things to be here, accepting them as they are, rather than trying to fight with them, which usually causes more distress and more pain. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means that if a change to happen, we have to accept our present reality as it is. And letting go. Letting go refers to the fact that we often try to cling on to positive experiences and get rid of negative ones. And letting go is the action of acknowledging whatever is happening in the moment and just letting it pass when it will. Patience. This is about having patience with ourselves and the world around us, allowing things to unfold in their own time, be it a situation, or we can turn this towards ourselves and our minds and our bodies. It means being open to all experiences, allowing them to happen in their own time. Trust is important, and is about having trust in our own feelings and our own intuition. We are all our own best expert, so listen to your own being. Other people can only be a guide. We need to learn to trust in our own wisdom. Non-striving. Non-striving can sometimes feel quite alien. It's just the opposite of what most of us are used to doing. So doing everything with a purpose and a goal, trying to get somewhere or trying to get something. Non-striving simply means just being in the present moment with the only purpose to experience whatever is to be known here in the present. Our non-judgmental attitude, as we mentioned earlier before, it means not reacting to things as good or bad, or categorizing them. Rather, trying to observe our experiences as an impartial witness. Our beginner's mind. Beginner's mind is about seeing things, seeing everything as if for the first time, being curious and not being stuck in a rut of a certain way of seeing things. It means knowing that no moment is the same as any other. Each one is unique, and each one allows unique things to see. Now, with all of these attitudes, it might feel like a lot, but what's important is we don't need to overwhelm ourselves with all these definitions and remembering them all right now. Rather, we can see them as seeds that have been planted, that will grow over time and develop with practice. Now we can bring mindfulness and its attitudes to everyday living. We can go about our day mindfully, bringing awareness to the present moment no matter what we're doing at any point. So we don't always have to be sat formally meditating, even though this is a great thing to do. So how can we do this? One way we can bring mindful awareness to our everyday is by connecting to our senses, becoming aware of our present moment experiences. Try using all of your senses when doing everyday activities. using them to explore a familiar object or activity in a new way. So our senses of, sight, hearing, touch, smell and taste. So maybe let's take a moment now to become connected with our senses in this present moment. So just pause in and notice now, maybe saying out loud to yourself or in your mind, 5 things that you can see. And notice now 4 things that you can hear. 4 different sounds that you can hear right now. And noticing now 3 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can feel, maybe in your body. Maybe you can reach out and touch something. 3 things that you can touch or feel. And now 2 things that you can smell. And finally, notice 1 thing that you can taste. Great. We can bring our senses to all of our activities, all of our moments throughout the days, or throughout our day if we choose to. We've often find there's so many daily activities that we all do with little to non-awareness. So these can be a great opportunity to bring some mindfulness into every day. Now imagine one of the most common activities amongst us all that we are doing daily that we could bring some mindful awareness to is hand washing. It's washing our hands. So let's pretend to bring mindful awareness to washing your hands. So if you are near a sink and you can wash your hands right now, perfect. You can wash your hands during this practice, but for the rest of us, we can pretend now. Imagine that we're at the sink. Imagining and pretending that we're going to wash our hands. And imagining that we're going to bring all of our mindful awareness to washing our hands. So, before you reach for the tap or the soap, stop and pause and feel the connection between your feet and the floor. Now as we reach to turn the tap, reach out, turn the tap, notice the weight of your arms. And as we touch the tap, noticing the temperature and the texture of the tap. And mindfully and consciously turn the tap on. And begin to notice the sounds of the water. Maybe feeling the temperature of the water. Watching the water swirl in the basin. Now as we begin to use the soap, we begin to wash our hands. Notice all the other sensations. Maybe the smell of the soap, bringing it up towards our nose. Maybe the feel of the bubbles. Watching the soap lather on our hands. Maybe begin to become aware of the sensations of rubbing the hands together, feeling the skin on the skin. And then finally watch as the water and all the soap bubbles drain away as we hold our hands underneath the running water. And then mindfully and consciously turning off the tap. And drying the hands, if we've actually washed our hands. If we haven't, we don't need to do so. So bringing mindfulness to our day means doing these activities like this with awareness and presence. Let's think of some more examples. Some everyday activities that we all do, maybe with little to non-awareness sometimes. So one example would be walking, whether this is walking around the house, maybe around the block, or maybe if we're taking a daily walk or a couple of walks a week to the park. How would we bring mindful awareness to walking? What would we notice through our senses? So we may notice the feet as they make contact with the floor, feeling the ball of feet and the heel lifting off the floor, maybe doing these walking movements now with the feet. You may become aware of the sensations of your body moving. Maybe counting your steps, counting down from 10 and repeating. And noticing your surroundings, feeling the temperature of the air. Another activity would be washing the dishes. And we can bring all of our senses, similar to washing the hands, feeling the water, watching the bubbles, noticing the dirt wash away. We can also bring mindful awareness to talking to friends or family. So how could we do this? We could take a moment to pause and settle the mind before speaking with them. We can take the time to listen to the other person speak, maybe noticing all those urges to want to interject and talk, and trying to allow ourselves to be present in the flow of the conversation. We can ground ourselves with the contact points, feeling the contact points of the body with the chair or the sofa or the floor. And another really great activity to bring mindful awareness to is eating. So eating is an activity, a task that quite often we can find ourselves falling into automatic pilot. We may sit down to eat a meal, or we may sit down to eat some biscuits or any food, and before we know it, we've finished and we've not really been present or experienced the process, the kind of enjoyment of eating. So maybe slowing down to experience eating, all the senses involved of eating. So maybe using one of these examples that we have talked about, or choosing an activity in your day that you could bring mindful awareness to each time you do it for the next week. So go pick an activity now. Maybe brushing your teeth, showering, other examples. Got one? Great. Okay, so we've talked about and we've practiced bringing our awareness to the present moment. We've had a go with some mindfulness. But what is also really important, and what we briefly touched on before, and what is likely to be very important right now with things that are going on, is how are we responding to ourselves? Are we doing so with openness and acceptance and kindness? Do we find ourselves being compassionate to ourselves, or do we give ourselves a hard time? So if we just take a moment now and think about the idea of compassion. One way to think about this, one way to think about what compassion is, to think about how would you treat a friend that was suffering or going through something difficult? How would you respond to them? Most likely, we do so with warmth and kindness. maybe empathy rather than trying to judge them and criticize them. We might try to understand their pain. We might try to be patient. But how do we find that we treat ourselves? Because self-compassion means turning towards ourselves and our difficulties with the same kindness and love and patience that we would to others. Instead of judging ourselves or criticizing ourselves for feeling or being a certain way. And quite often, maybe too often, we might find that we are self-critical, we are harsher to ourselves than we are to other people. And this can really affect how we feel. This can wreak havoc on anxiety and stress and our mood. So during times of difficulties and challenge and pain, it's really important to recognize how it is that we're responding to ourselves and to try practicing some self-compassion and self-kindness. And some important things to notice are our tone of voice when we speak to ourselves, and what kind of things we say to ourselves, what emotions we respond to ourselves with. Maybe we notice to respond to ourselves with anger or frustration. So on this, I would like to invite you to a short practice now. A practice that, most of us, or maybe some of us, might need right now. A practice of self-soothing and self-compassion. And it might be worth noticing how it is that you respond to yourself during the practice. Maybe become aware of how compassionate you find yourself being. So once again, taking a moment to settle in and find a comfortable position. Whatever that is, or wherever that might be, however you're most comfortable. And taking a few deep breaths to settle your mind and to settle your body into this present moment. And we're going to begin, if you would like to try, by placing your hand over your heart, placing your hand on your heart. Either hand, it doesn't matter which. Now we might place our hand over our heart as a reminder to be kind to ourselves. But the touch of our hand can also do a lot more than that. Your body responds to the physical gesture of warmth and care. Just as a baby responds to being cuddled in the arms of its mum. Our skin is an incredibly sensitive organ. And we can soothe and comfort ourselves in this way with this touch whenever we're feeling tense, upset or sad or self-critical. Now we've placed our hand over our heart now, but you could also place your hands on your face or fold your arms and give yourself a hug, or use any physical gesture that feels soothing. So whether your hand is over your heart or somewhere else, feel the gentle pressure of your hand. Notice the warmth of your hand. Maybe placing both hands on your chest or wherever they are. Noticing the difference between one and two hands. Feeling the touch, the comfort of your hand. If you wish, you could maybe make small circles with your hand on your chest or wherever it is. And feeling the natural rising and falling of your chest or your body as you breathe in, as you breathe out. And you can continue to keep your hand on your heart if you wish. Or lower it down now, lingering with the soothing feeling around the area of your heart. Allow yourself to become aware of your breathing. Locate your breathing where you can feel it most easily. Feeling how your breath moves in your body. And when your attention wanders, which it will, and that's fine, gently feel the movement of your breath once again. And begin to notice any physical sensations of stress that you might be holding in your body, perhaps in your neck and your shoulders, or your belly or your forehead. Also notice if you're holding some difficult emotions, such as worry about the future, or some uneasiness about the past. Understand that every human body bears stress and worry throughout the day. Now offer yourself goodwill because of what you're holding in your body right now. If you would like, say the following phrases to yourself, softly and gently. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. And when you notice your mind has wandered, return to the words or the experience of your body, going slowly. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. If you feel overwhelmed at all with emotion, you can always return to your breathing. You can also name the emotion or find it in the physical body and soften that area. Then when you're comfortable, return to the phrases. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. And finally, taking a few deep breaths. Just resting quietly in your own body. Knowing that you can return to the phrases and soothing touch any time that you wish. And when you're ready, gently open the eyes. Bringing yourselves back to this moment. And if you find that practicing in this way, meditation, mindfulness, and self compassion, if it's something you would like to practice more, bring into your life, into your day, something that's really helpful can be to have a spot that's dedicated to meditate. A space that you know you can go to for quiet and stillness. And we may find that our body gets into the habit of feeling calmer when we enter this space. It can be helpful to know that we have this spot to go to practice. So this doesn't have to be an entire room. It might be a quiet corner or even an outdoor space in your backyard. Just finding whatever works best for you and the space that you have. Maybe some tips for creating the space. Finding somewhere that you feel comfortable, you can imagine yourself being relaxed in. A space that is quiet, less likely to be disturbed, or at least letting people know that you would like to not be disturbed during this time if possible. Maybe including views or sounds, being near a window or placing plants in your space. Keep it clear and organised, and try and find lighting that works for you. Some people may prefer natural lighting, some people prefer dark lighting, some people prefer candles. We can also incorporate smells. People might like incense or the smell of flowers. Just knowing what you like and making a space that works for you and just playing with it. Playing around with it. Fab. So, again, if practicing and continue learning and developing your mindfulness practice is something you'd like to do, there's a number of resources that can help you with this. So you can repeat the content in this workshop, in this session, as much as you like. And if you'd like to repeat the meditations that we did, there's also separate recordings of these. If you haven't already got them, there's also some handouts with some of the exercises on and some other new ones to try. If you're handy with a smartphone, there's a number of free apps that you can use to find more guided meditations to practice. And the best ones for these are Calm and Headspace, which are apps specifically for mindfulness meditation, and they offer a number of free practices. YouTube, either using it by the app or using it on the website via browser if you have the internet, also has many mindfulness meditations, so many meditations. And some of the best ones for these are maybe to search for Jon Kabat-Zinn Guided Meditations, who is the founder of the mindfulness-based stress reduction course. Again, if you have internet, the Oxford Mindfulness Centre also have a number of free podcasts which are really great to listen to. They're relating to using mindfulness during these uncertain times. Fab. So I would like to finish to end the session with a poem now. So you could choose to either pause the session and read the poem in your own time, or perhaps closing the eyes and listen as I read. So this poem is called The Guest House by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Thank you for joining. I hope that you found this helpful in some way, maybe found some stillness and some calm. And enjoy your day.